continuing on the video request about thoughts on Ouija boards, ghosts, hauntings, and what have I experienced. When people do Ouija boards, sometimes things can attach themselves. It can be a negative spirit, not necessarily a demon like everybody says, but it opens the way to anything in a way. And in my youth we just drew the Ouija board on paper, since that is easy to bury and get rid of, since you should never burn it to release the spirits within. So, and then the thing with the heated glass, if you have a cold drinking glass of, let's say, water, and it's empty of course, and you put it over a flame, then it will move by itself over the thing. So that is a way to create the atmosphere without calling a spirit. So that's a trick. And something that is very important, at least in the European, especially from the Eastern traditions. I don't know why Sweden didn't have it, but in Finland or whatever, Bulgaria, Poland, Romania, Hungary, everybody covers their head during necromancy, and that includes if there is a man working, they always cover your head with a scarf or hat or something else. Since there is, the spirits of the dead wants to have a warm body, they want to feel the taste of the food you eat, they want to eat and drink and have that sort of thing. So that is so enrooted in the folklore, so everybody wears something on their head usually doing spirit work, so the spirit doesn't enter in. And yes, I saw apparitions when I was a child. I saw full size, and then a weird thing of seeing half of the body. It was just like half of it was somewhere else. And as I grew older and learned to protect myself, then it became that I just feel that I enter into a static. I feel the electricity in the air, and I feel the static noise in my ears, and so on. But I've experienced steps and knocks quite often. Really heavy steps, like on the staircase, like a real heavy man walking upstairs and being angry or knocking on the walls with the fists. So it sounds like that. And my experience with when glass or mirrors break, that is a sign of a more demonic entity, and that's when I go in and do a full banishing. And the spirit houses and dolls, they are in every culture as well, I think. You take some, usually graveyard dirt or some other objects from the dead, and you put them in a jar or something, and then you put in things that they liked and so on. And that thing with dolls that is so modern right now, where you have, let's say, crow's feet or hair from a human, and you make these dolls. That is more witchcrafty things, and I'm not into that kind of thing, or making effigies of wax or anything. But I used to make houses for the nature spirits outside as a child. I liked making the miniature houses and leave them out in the forest and so on. I really love my nature spirits. And then we have, of course, pendulums, divine rods and wands and so on. I have some strong energy, so pendulums always go haywire. And I can just think and change somebody else's pendulum to swing, so I don't trust. If I focus on somebody's pendulum, I got to get it to move really quick or change direction, so I don't pay any attention to pendulums, since I know that if there is somebody else with a strong intent or energy, they move it as well. that is stronger than the one holding the pendulum, then it's no use. And divining rods, the same thing. And wands can be useful, especially if you've done the abramelling or you really have a wand that you have worked and connected with and it's not a decoration, then it can give you a sign. And then we have, when you want to feel, let's say you want to experience if your house is haunted, electrics and statics, they have easier to manifest. So if you have a lot of cords in one center of the room and you have maybe something, you wear a pullover or something, or you can comb your hair so it goes static, and all this kind of static frizz builds up the energy, so it might be easier for them to manifest. And then, of course, in all bodies of water, and swamps are huge, and marshes, and caves and underground. But especially close to streams or rivers. In Finland, in all rivers, the dead travels through the rivers, so there is that folklore thing that I grew up with. So in any kind of spirit work, let's say I want to move a spirit out of a home or something, I use a bowl of water or mirrors as well, as they are the same for me, mirror, water, glass. And so they can enter into the other realm as have somewhere to point them to. I also use paintings with a glass on them, so they can enter through a painting, but anything with glass or mirrors, so they can find a way to get out, to open the door so they can leave. And then, of course, we have these manipulative, commanding lesser spirits that they are like the restless dead, walking around the earth, collecting the other spirits who are maybe afraid, and then they are bullies to them, and these are the kinds of things you usually come across if you do Ouija boards or something. And then I have to tell you about a thing. I was asked to help with a Halloween party. We don't celebrate Halloween here, but it was at my work, and there were some bikers, and they wanted to have somebody to create a room with atmosphere, and they asked me, and stupidly I said yes. So I took the thing from the 80s that you walk down the stairs into a basement. Then I had a box where you put your hand in where you didn't know what was in the box, and I had a stuffed rat and things like that could scare them out, and other things, and warm jam and so on. And silk thread or some fish lines things hanging from the ceiling that touched their head. And there were so many things that went wrong. I wasn't present at the thing. I just gave them some ideas of how you can, since I usually help people to overcome fear. So I just thought that, oh, you want to take fear, try these things. Like, then we had this fear that they stepped into water when they walked down the stairs, so they got wet. So there were so many things that I manipulated there. And somebody went into a true panic there. And I didn't think that, I think these are big, strong, tough men over 30. And I didn't realize that it could cause somebody to freak out, and that was very stupid of me. So the thing is that what isn't scary for a practitioner might scare somebody else, and I really feel bad for him today as well. Nightmares, really freaked out, have difficulty to breathe, panicked. Then I met him 3 days later. Since I never knew them, I was just asked to set up a room and help them to have a fun party, and that turned out to not be so fun. And so I showed him everything and how I thought and how she should overcome fears, but he was really damaged, so I'm very sad about that thing. Those stupid things we do sometimes. So just that you have studied something for a long time and you would think, you believe that somebody wants to have a fun party and then everything goes wrong. So there might always be that someone who might get really badly, even in a haunted house that isn't haunted, that kind of thing. So we don't know, so it's better to leave out. And that was about all for now. And of course, I had one spooky experience when I was sleeping, and this huge man woke me up, and he was over 2 meters tall and touched me on the shoulder, and I knew he was dead. And that was a friend's father who passed away that second, and that is the only thing that happened to me after my teenage years, and I was about 27. But he just came to say that he had gone, and after that I haven't seen a full apparition. And then I had a woman sitting in a rocking chair when I was 11, full apparition. And then of course in my childhood when my mother and my aunt and my grandmother tried things out, and then they saw that I saw them, and they thought it was fun that I could see the spirits, and I refused to work with them. So I learned to block them and block them from conjuring up the spirit as well. So it was a war within the family in many ways. So I don't know why, but when Uriel came to my side at 3, when one person died and they wanted to conjure up the spirit, I started to protect the dead in that way, that I never conjure them, and I protect them from being conjured up, if that makes any sense, since I felt that they need rest and they need to move on. So that was all for now, and have a magical, magical day. Bye for now.